Hey guys, how's it going? Jay here, welcome back to the channel. So today we're taking a look at the SMSL SU-9 DAC. This is about $440 and it's by SMSL. And I'm a little bit tired of these Chinese DACs pushing out every time. There's so many DACs, so many. And I'm sure you're tired too, but you know what? I kind of feel obligated because a lot of you guys have been asking me about this DAC. You guys have been asking me, how does it compare to the SMSL M400? Is it even fair to get the SMSL M400 over the SU-9? Because you're saving about, a few $100 extra, and the SU-9 practically has everything that the SMSL M400 has. So we'll answer that in this video. So make sure to click that subscribe button and the bell notification so that you don't miss anything. And let's get right to it. First of all, the main differences between the SMSL M400 and the SU-9 DAC is that the SU-9 has practically everything that the SMSL M400 has to offer, including MQA capability, high-res Bluetooth, and all that good stuff. But the only thing that is lacking from the SU-9 is the I2S input in the back that the SMSL M400 has. But other than that, there are no differences. The SU-9 even has a balanced XLR output. And another main kind of difference here is that the SU-9 uses a Saber DAC, the most recent Saber DAC, instead of the AKM DAC used in the SMSL M400. And I think I know why. It could have been a more of a business choice because the AKM DAC factory recently burned down. And so hopefully they'll recover and start building more AKM DAC chips once they are recovered. But for the time being, I think that is why they're using the Saber DAC chips here. Other than that, the difference is kind of in the aesthetics. The SU-9 is a smaller DAC overall. It has a smaller form factor, and it has a non-tempered glass top, which the SMSL M400 has this beautiful tempered glass top that I was talking about. But that's the main differences. Those two are the main differences. So is it really worth it to spend a little bit more on the SMSL M400 when they are so similar? The difference has to be in the sound, right? That would be the most sane kind of explanation. Well, according to the audio science reviews, or if you are really into measurements, then you should probably stop watching this video and get this DAC. Because according to them, it's good as any other DAC. Because according to them, it seems like this DAC should be performing as well as any DACs in different price points. They state, if you are hearing issues, I suggest you either have your hearing examined or learn to do a proper controlled test. Either way, what you hear is what is on your recording. Guaranteed. So, if you are a measurement person who likes to look at measurements and say, well, I want to get the best measuring DAC for the lowest price possible, well, the SU-9 definitely may be a consideration because it's either that or you have hearing issues. I find the SMSL SU-9 to sound completely different from the SMSL M400 DAC, and the SMSL M400 DAC I found to have a little bit more emphasis in the bass region. The SU-9 I find more linear, more neutral, a little bit edgy in comparison to the SMSL M400's a little bit more smoother response. And so maybe I need to get my hearing tested, but I did, and it came out fine. So maybe I need to learn how to do a controlled test. Well, at least I know that I'm not alone. I did a consumer report on our YouTube channel right here, and according to that consumer report, 51 votes came in, and 53% of that vote gave 5 stars to the SU-9, 25% 4 stars, 12% 3 stars, 0% 2 stars, and 10% 1 star. So this consumer report is based off of the people that suggest that they have owned or heard the DAC and they have given the appropriate stars. So it seems like for the price, a lot of people love the DAC once they hear it or own it themselves. And I found the same thing with this DAC. I found it to be exceptionally good for the money. However, if I had the choice, I would get the SMSL M400 and not the SU-9 if I wanted that extra little bass response, because they don't sound the same. Using the same speakers, setup, nothing changed but the DAC itself, and switching back and forth, I hear an obvious difference between the two. But in terms of the sonic characteristics, like I said, this is a pretty neutral DAC, and I believe it. You are hearing what the artist is intentioned to let you hear without much exaggeration going on. But it doesn't convey the most micro detail or layering or soundstage or imaging within the sound field. In fact, I had my friend Tujan over, and he was able to tell 100% of the time which was the SU-9 DAC, because he found it to be a little bit grainier, a little bit sharper on the edges, and a little bit more brighter. And that was the key point in his assessment, because he is very prone to brightness. He found the SU-9 DAC to be a little bit on the brighter side. And I feel the same way. But in no way does this DAC compete with $2,000, $3,000, or $5,000 DACs. Just completely in the difference in the soundstage and the imaging capability and the micro detail and the layering, this DAC is a little bit more 2D than 3D in a presentation in a stereo system, at least to our findings and experiences. And like I said, I'm not saying that this DAC is bad or it is a waste of money. In fact, we found it to be quite exceptional in the fact that for this price, it is able to be so neutral. So for a desktop setup or a stereo system where you just want the DAC to do its job and not color the sound in any way, this DAC is pretty darn good at that. But I just wanted to burst the bubble. If you watch my videos and you find my videos to be reliable, from our findings, we don't find it to be the be and end all of DACs. And we certainly don't find this $440 DAC to outcompete every other DAC out there, including the SMSL M400. Just realistically speaking, it's not happening. So don't count on the SMSL SU-9 DAC to completely destroy every other DAC out there for the money. Just not the case. And I know people are gonna hate me because this is not what they want to hear. They want to hear that this DAC destroys everything. But I have to be honest. This DAC doesn't destroy everything, but for the price, there is no other neutral DACs that I know of at this price point that does what this does. So this fills a very unique niche market in our industry, where if you want something very neutral and you're looking for that neutral presentation in things at a low price point, this offers it. Neutrality was very expensive to be had back in the day. In fact, a lot of people went for neutrality, but they just couldn't afford it. Well, years later, now we have this, a $440 DAC that sounds pretty almost dead neutral, at least to my ears. And another thing about this DAC is that it has a preamplifier function, which means that you can use it as a preamplifier. But I don't suggest using it. Just like I said in the SMSL M400 review, it is not a very good preamplifier. It is kind of like, something you use if you don't have anything or for a desktop situation. But I recommend a separate preamplifier because this really performs as a DAC and not a preamplifier. You're kind of attenuating rather than preamplifying, if you know what I mean. And the Bluetooth functionality on this works pretty well. I still recommend wired connection even with this device that promises lossless Bluetooth connectivity. I still find the Bluetooth to be slightly more grainier, so why not for music use a connection that is more solid. However, if you don't want to and you want to use Bluetooth, this is probably one of the best Bluetooth DACs out there, in my opinion, in terms of the differences between wired and Bluetooth connectivity. The Bluetooth does not suffer a whole lot, and it's not a whole lot different from the wired connection. And the other thing that I actually have a little bit of problem with this device is the overall form factor. Now, this is a small DAC, okay? For the price, it's a small DAC. And because it's a small DAC and the form factor is coming with 1, 2, 3 foot instead of 4 foot, what ends up happening is that if you have a heavier power cord that you're using, then this DAC will tilt and lift. And overall, this is not a big problem if you don't care about how the DAC looks. It's not going to affect your sound. It's not going to transfer the sound stage 30 degrees or anything like that. But of course, it kind of doesn't look nice on your rack if you have a heavy power cord. But if you buy this for measurements, then you probably don't care about the power cord anyways. So just use the one that comes with it and you'll be fine. But if you are using a more heavier power cord, then you may use Bluetac instead of wasting more money on getting new feet for these that some people suggest. Bluetac will keep these in place. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was helpful to you, make sure to subscribe and consider joining our Patreon page as well to keep us independent with these honest reviews. Until next time.